Welcome back to the Heavy Race, Heavy Car Challenge. Yeah, I know, it's been a while. Let's just move on. Let's continue the San Francisco checkpoint races in this episode. The last one we have done is Golden Hour, so we will restart from City Tour. I like how you clearly start so behind with respect to the other cars in this race. After the first checkpoint, you can cut on the grass to collect the next ones. Then turn left here and go straight for a bit. Then turn left after Transamerica Pyramid to finish the race. 5 opponents, 2 fastbacks, 2 Eldorados and 1 Beetle. The opponents take non-optimal routes, like for example here, in which some cars don't cut on the grass to get to the next checkpoint. Then some cars turn left here. This route is not shorter, but it's worse because you need to turn 3 times instead of only once. At the end, the Eldorado turns left before the Transamerica Pyramid, and it doesn't cut on the grass at the end. So, the only car that follows the optimal route is the Beetle. But then this car stops right before the finish line without triggering the end. I don't know, man. The big drop can be a meme sometimes. For you, for the opponents, and for the cops. And for the cops again. Anyway, most vehicles can win the race with ease, so we can put green. I got the Freightliner first try, even with a very sick bounce. I was not expecting to get this first try, but I'm not complaining. Another green. The best time that I was able to get with a double-decker bus is a 58.17, but that was only enough for a 5th place. This race though is very RNG dependent, because the other cars can crash a lot with the traffic or flip at the big jump. In fact, I was able to get 3rd place in multiple occasions with worse final times. Unfortunately, there are a few things that can make this race a bit frustrating to play. The jump at the end and the cop car. As already mentioned, the jump can be useful because some opponents may flip there, but unfortunately this jump can also be bad for us. Also, the cop car can only chase us, and it's very unlikely that it will help us by crashing into the other cars. Most of the times the cop car doesn't do much, but it can still be annoying in some occasions. The uphill section definitely doesn't help. You need to preserve as much speed as possible before turning left here, otherwise you will lose too much time and speed on the uphill. My best time was a 58.17, but I never saw the first place with a time higher than 55 seconds. So, if you want to win this race, you need to remove at least 3 seconds from the current best time, and get lucky with the opponent's cars, because they can still obliterate you with a 47 seconds finish time. There's no way you can compete with that. I'll stop here for now, so the best place that I got was 3rd place, so we have to put red. The city bus is too slow, and there is no way to interact with the cars in front. The only way to not be a last is to get lucky, like I got here. One of the fastback flipped after the jump, and then crashed into the Transamerica Pyramid. so it lost so much time that I was able to overtake it. Unfortunately, it's not possible to rely on luck to win the race. As I have shown you, it's possible to get lucky and have one car stuck somewhere for a long time. It may be possible to get 2 cars stuck, but it's very improbable to get all 5 cars stuck. The best that I was able to get is 1 minute, 5 seconds and 39. I also got another 1.5 and multiple 1.6, but in all these runs I wasn't able to get any better than last place. I tried to reach the final checkpoint using a different path to see if it's at least possible to interact with other cars, and unfortunately you cannot interact with the first cars. You could interact with the cars that arrive later, but at this point it's useless. So the final result is a red cell. At least I was able to not be last. In my first attempts with a fire truck, I wasn't removing the trailer, but I don't think you can win in this way. The first place that I thought to remove the trailer is here, right after turning left. With this strategy, the best time that I was able to get is 56 seconds and 19, that got me in 4th place. But, so far, the best place that I got is 2nd place, in 1 flat 96, without removing the trailer. Basically, all the cars but one flipped at the jump, which feels unreal. Maybe there's some hope for the city bus. Anyway, winning with this strategy seems very hard, so I decided to change the spot to remove the trailer. With the new strategy, I removed the trailer almost at the start of the run, and I barely lose speed. I was able to get a 2nd place very quickly and with a faster final time, and thanks to the Beetle that doesn't trigger the finish line. I kept playing a bit more and I got myself in the same situation, but this time there wasn't any other car in front of me except from the Beetle. The Beetle stopped before the finish line again and I finished first. A very strange finish, but hey, it's a new green to the table. Another level completed. Brilliant. Next one, Foggy Memory. Another race near the Transamerica Pyramid. The main route is this: turn left after the 2nd checkpoint, turn right after the next one, turn left after the Transamerica Pyramid, take the checkpoint and go left, turn left when the street ends, turn left after the checkpoint, go straight towards the finish line. 5 opponents, 1 Beetle, 2 Fastbacks, 1 Eldorado and 1 Mustang GT. There is another route in this race. You turn left before the Transamerica Pyramid instead of after, so you collect these checkpoints in reverse order. The first route is faster, and in both routes you have to deal with opponents' cars coming towards you, so I don't think this route can be useful. Only the green Fastback follows our route. All the other cars go in different directions. The Mustang GT follows the alternative route that I told you before. Then, all the other cars go through the Dragon Gate instead of turning right, and actually turn right later. The Eldorado then turns left and follows the alternative route that I showed you before. Kinda. It turns right here instead of cutting on the grass. The white Fastback and the Beetle instead follow the normal route. Kinda. They don't turn left after the checkpoint, but they turn at the next crossroad. Man, these guys drive like shit. These differences in the opponent's routes are actually a very good thing, because it's very likely they will crash into each other, giving us a lot more time to finish the race. This means this race is pretty easy with every vehicle. I didn't get all the runs first try, but considering how much the opponents crash into each other, I just needed to play the level until I was lucky enough to win, which took few attempts for all the vehicles. The only vehicle that gave me some problem was the city bus, but this only means that I got a successful run in 7 minutes instead of 2. So, another green row and another level off the list. Amazing. Next one, park and ride. It's sunset time. Go straight at the start up to the first checkpoint. Turn right. Go straight and collect the next checkpoint. Turn left and right to collect the next one. You can also turn left later. Turn right here. Collect the checkpoint and cut on the park to get the next one. Turn left here and go straight towards the finish line. 5 opponents. 1 F350, 2 fastbacks, 1 Eldorado, 1 Mustang GT. Even though you can still win with a lot of vehicles, the difficulty is slowly rising because it's becoming less common to win a race first try. Now, prepare for a wild ride. A wild park and ride. In my very first attempt with the fire truck, I finished third. Not a bad start, but I knew I could do better. After all, I only needed a 115 to win. In my first run, I detached the trailer pretty early in the run, which gave me a good advantage. I tried a few more times without detaching the trailer, but I wasn't able to keep up with the other cars. So detaching the trailer is mandatory to win. The question is, where should I detach it? The method that I used in my first run is not consistent because the fastback kinda helped me, but it's not always there. So I need a consistent way to detach the trailer, or at least a more consistent one. The first place that I thought was using the wall on the left before the first right turn. If done well, you don't lose a lot of speed by doing it, but you don't only need a good detach to win the race. You also need the cars to cooperate, which means that they have to crash stuff and slow down. In other words, you need RNG in your favor. A demonstration of this, 115.89 is only enough for a 4th place, but 117.84 is perfect for a 2nd place. I got multiple 2nd places, but this run is definitely the most cursed one. I failed to remove the trailer, but I continued anyway to see how much I can push without detaching the trailer in the planned spot. The trailer then detached here. Despite this, I was still able to finish 2nd, and to win I only needed at 118. All of my finished runs so far, except for my first one, ended with a better time, so I would have won in any other run, but not in this one. Well, at least now we know it's possible. After some time I decided to see if I could find another spot to detach the trailer, and indeed there is. You can use the wall on the right at the start of the race to remove the trailer. This strategy is faster, but much more inconsistent. So much more inconsistent that I decided to roll back to my old strategy, because I was just mashing against the wall over and over with barely any success. The real problem in this race are the fastbacks. They will almost never crash and slow down in the last stretch. The Mustang GT can sometimes crash and slow down there, which can be really useful. The Eldorado is usually not a problem because it crashes a lot at the start of the race, so it will slow down a lot there. I said usually. There was an insane run in which the 2 fastbacks and the Mustang GT crashed a lot and were behind, but guess who decided to not crash everywhere this time? Exactly. I also had an insane detach of the trailer right after the first downhill. Unfortunately, I didn't get lucky with opponent's cars, so I only finished 3rd. At a certain point, I decided to see if taking the other route was actually better for this vehicle. In my test run, I crashed badly and lost a lot of speed. Which means that also the opponents had to do the same in this particular run. So yeah, if I didn't test anything new, I could have probably won this race. Despite the crash, I saw the potential in the new route, and in fact, not only it's slightly faster, it's also easier than the previous one, which means that more attempts will reach the end. With this new strategy, I was able to get a 1:14 run. I only had the Mustang GT in front of me. The two fastbacks were right behind though. The Mustang GT crashed but didn't lose much speed, so the ending was crucial. At the second to last checkpoint, both fastbacks reached me. I needed the Mustang GT to brake right before the end. It doesn't always do that, but sometimes it does. The only thing that I had to do is moving on the side to not crash into the Mustang GT. I tried to do that, but the fastback kept pushing me back. The GT started braking, but it was too late for me to move away, so I crashed and pushed it into the finish line. You cannot make these things up. After hours of playing, the stars finally aligned. The fastbacks were behind me, the GT crashed and lost a lot of speed, and I was finally able to cross the finish line in first place. I'm not saying how much time I spent for this green, I'm leaving this for the end of the series. Let's move on to the Freightliner. This vehicle is a bit faster than the fire truck and you don't need to remove any trailer. In fact, I got pretty quickly a 1:13. It didn't take me long to have a first place this time. Maybe I even got a little bit luckier than when using the fire truck, so getting this green cell didn't destroy my mental health. The double-decker bus is slightly slower than the fire truck, and you don't have to detach any trailer, so in the end they get almost the same final time. Since there is no trailer though, I can stay closer to the cars in the first positions more easily, so I can try and make them crash into walls, traffic or objects to slow them down. Since the blue fastback is usually the problem, I decided to push it against the wall at the start of the race to slow it down. Fun fact, you can make the car clip out of bounds by pushing it in this way. I consider this as using a glitch, so I decided to reset the run every time this happened. After a very close call that I got very early on in the grind, I was able to win the race. Remember when I said that the Mustang GT sometimes brakes before the finish line? Well, that was crucial for this run. Getting this green was harder than the Freightliner, but definitely easier than the fire truck. And then there is the CD bus. Too slow to win the race normally. I tried to push some cars into the water, but it didn't end up well. Just as a reminder, drawing in checkpoint races will result in a game over, not in a respawn. I tried to block the end to see if I could obtain something from it, but I failed. So, the best I was able to do is 4th place, and I got it by racing normally. Red cell here, but at least it's not last place. Another level completed. Great. Next one. The hills are alive. Basically park and ride, but you go left instead of right. Cut on the grass after the first checkpoint. Go left after this checkpoint. Turn left at the next one. Be careful, low cars can hit the curb here. Cut on the grass again for the next one. Turn right and left. Go straight to the end of the road, be careful about the flying cop car, turn slightly to the right towards the finish line to end the race. 4 opponents, all fastbacks. The fastback is a pretty fast vehicle, but there are a few things that will help us in this race. 2 of the 4 fastbacks don't cut on the grass at the start of the race, they just follow the road. At this checkpoint here, none of the fastbacks goes in the optimal route. They all go forward a little more and turn left here. And then they turn left again here. Unfortunately, not everything is in our favor in this race. This cop car can be really annoying sometimes. said that most vehicles can finish without many problems, so we can put green for all of them. The Freightliner was surprisingly very easy to get, so green also for this vehicle. The trailer of the fire truck is very annoying, and initially I wasn't able to think about a good place to remove it, since there are no convenient walls near the start, so I decided to keep it, hoping to detach it randomly. Most of the times the trailer will detach here, but it's not guaranteed. If you don't remove it, not only you are slower, but also the fastbacks will use it to push you away. Then I thought about a better place to remove the trailer, which is closer to the start. Basically, you have to barely hit the wall, and this way you don't lose much speed. On the last stretch, you need to keep all the fastbacks behind you. If they overtake you, it's over. Overall, this run wasn't terrible to do. Definitely easier than the madness I went through in the previous level. The double-decker bus is very annoying. This vehicle can hit this curb here, which is very common. It can hit this curb here. It can hit this curb here. And it can hit this curb here. The cop car can be really annoying too. On the last section, it's kinda hard to keep all the fastbacks behind you, even without the cop car. But this car makes things much harder than they should be. After a while I decided to try a different strat to avoid hitting the curb 90% of the times. It's more consistent and I can have more attempts at the rest of the level. Still not 100% consistent though, and it's a slower strategy, so after a while I went back to the old strat. After a very close call in which the game physics trolled me really badly, I was able to win the race. It took me some time to get this run, but I've done worse. The city bus is too slow, and you are too far from the ocean for the entire race. I tried to block the ending just to see if I can do something from it, but it doesn't seem to be useful. So the best that I was able to do is 4th place. You can keep a fastback behind you without many problems. Doing the same with 2 cars seems very hard. Doing the same for all cars is definitely impossible. To win this race, we need a different strategy. But for now, I cannot think of anything that could work. So we have to put red here and accept defeat. Another level completed. Well, only 4 levels cleared in this episode, and only one was a full green row. Unfortunately, I don't see how the city bus could win in any of those races. It's simply too slow. Anyway, that's all for this episode. See you in the next one. Bye.